Scout, nah. They threw me out after I told them I'd like to eat a brownie. You know? Like a brownie. You know, like a brownie, like a Peggy Lawton brownie. You got a dirty mind there.
Mm-hmm. No, I just know you.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what you meant. And I was a brownie.
Oh, boy.
I was a brownie. I was a Girl Scout. And I was a pink bird.
Oh, I just got from school.
A younger bluebird.
Yeah, I just got suspended from school. That's all I was.
Well, I got kicked out of CCD, so.
Okay, there you go.
Couldn't make my confirmation because I got kicked out of CCD. So, hey, you know, we all ended up at Kowalski's.
Yeah, here you are today.
All of us jabronis ended up at the same place, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Nope.
In fact,
no
I was referring.
Some people right.
I was referring to Tom Burke when I sent you that email a few minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah. I should have known that. Oh, that's probably exactly why he's calling. Shit. But I knew he'd talk too long and we wouldn't be able to get on.
Right.
Well, it looks like it's just going to be you and me.
Hey, that's it. You know, you gotta, like Walter used to teach you in front of the camera, you gotta sell yourself.
Your daughter's watching?
They are.
Good. Well, we should be on in 5 minutes. I don't think this one will go the whole hour.
I feel very vigorous tonight. And Monday was a good Monday today. It was a good weekend.
Well, maybe it will go a whole hour then. Here we go. Here he is.
Finally. All right.
What's he drinking tonight?
As Judge Judy would say, a little kerfuffle. So, good evening, my fellow crime cronies, and welcome to another episode of True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Player, and Dangerous Dave. I'm Benny Scala, a.k.a. The Player, and with me, as always, is my partner in True Crime, the Boston Bad Girl, New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer, Brittany Brown. Brittany, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well. How are you tonight?
I cannot complain. Woke up above ground this morning. Always a good thing at my age. And joining us once again, we have indie wrestling legend Dangerous Dave Starr. Dave's been in seclusion a bit. I love that outfit, by the way. Suffering from Karen Reed withdrawal, but I think we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. I know there's going to be more. Just like Ryback, Dave will be fed more. Dave, so glad to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Hello to everybody out there tonight in the podcast. My daughter, Tori, everybody. Great Mondays. Was a great weekend, and ready to go.
You got it. All right. Well, before we get into the case, just my opinion, but I think we'd be less than, how would you say, journalistically responsible if we didn't address, especially with this being a true crime show, if we didn't address the events of this weekend. So Donald Trump, former president of the United States, current candidate for the November election, narrowly, and I mean narrowly, survived an assassination attempt at a campaign rally on Saturday afternoon in Pennsylvania. The attempted sniper was killed by the Secret Service, but sadly, a member of the crowd was also killed. Really, really sad. While trying to shield his family from the fire. So I wanted to get your guys' take on that.
Dave, go ahead.
Well, I had shades of Lee Harvey Oswald, to be honest with you. I told my family in the past, and I know other people have mentioned it also. I just had a feeling that they couldn't put him in jail. They couldn't impeach him. I mean, there was only one thing left to do to him. And I said that to my family months ago, and I've heard some politicians. I think I even heard Trump's daughter-in-law say it, that, watch, they're going to end up shooting him. They're going to end up trying shooting him. And in my opinion, absolute brought back memories of John F. Kennedy. How can people see this guy on a rooftop, but the Secret Service and the CIA and nobody else can see in police department? To me, it was a total, in my opinion, it was a total setup. They don't want this guy in office. He doesn't go along with the military complex. He doesn't go along with he never did go along with their views, and it just smells like Lee Harvey Oswald, smells like a cover-up. Only this time they caught the guy and they killed the guy, but I think it was just leading the horse to water. That's what I think. Yeah. I just think smells all around. Trump.
Yeah, that was pretty
What
weird.
about you, Brittany? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I actually was surprised that it didn't happen when he was in office, to be honest with you. So when I saw that it happened, I was a little surprised because that all went away once he's no longer president. I just kind of forgot all about that, that I even thought that might happen. Did I expect it? No. Did I ever think it was going to happen? Maybe if he gets elected again, I would think it again. But no, I did not think at this point that something like that would happen. And I agree with what Dave's saying. I mean, the fact that it grazed the ear like that, and the way that he held up his hand like 5 times, or shook his fist, I should say. And I was out with a friend of mine the other night, and he mentioned to me, he said, "You know what that is, right?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "That's what Hitler did." And I said, "What?" So, hi, Matt, if you're watching, I hope you are. But that's what my friend Matt said. And I was like, what? So I don't know. I don't know. What's your take, Benny?
Well, I both of what you guys said had a lot of wisdom in it. But my obviously it was a horrible thing. Anytime somebody tries to kill another human being, it's horrible. But I probably lost about, I would say I unfriended at least 100 people over the weekend because of the absolutely despicable comments on Facebook. And I think we're going to hear a little bit more about that on this channel throughout the week. But I mean, there was one person, and this comment stuck with me more than any other comment, where, somebody said it was staged. And I said, well, not for anything, but somebody lost their life. It was a very brave firefighter that actually, shielding his family from the bullets. And the guy's response was collateral damage expendable. That is absolutely despicable. I have the guy's name. I think we might make a star out of the guy because, what I wanted to say, and I let it drop, was would they have been expendable if it was your mother, your daughter? Right. How come, just because you don't know the person there, I really think, I'm old enough to go back to when, politics were divisive, but now it's become violent. It used to be a debate. Now it's a war.
Well, I'm a deplorable, I'm a deplorable, but just to get back for a second to what Brittany just said, Trump didn't put his arm up like Hitler. Hitler put his arm out straight. Trump put his arm up in solidarity.
Oh, is that what that meant?
Fight. That picture, with the American flag in the background, with him with his bloodied head, with his fist raised. That is a Life magazine cover photo, in my opinion.
Definitely.
You're gonna see that picture. That will become, I think, one of the most famous photos in the history of this country.
Absolutely. Yep. And the thing is, it's too bad today because everything is about money, especially in the United States government. The government doesn't do anything unless you make money. And one of the biggest things where you make money is the military complex. And Donald Trump does not go in line with the military complex. He doesn't go in line, which is wars. That's how you make money. And that's why they don't like him. That's why, in my opinion, elements within our own government tried to get him assassinated on Saturday. That's my opinion. Like I said, they did to John F. Kennedy. How can some ham and egger be climbing up on a roof 150 yards away, and regular people just standing around see him, and the CIA don't see him, the FBI don't see him, the police don't see him? And why was this not cornered off? Why was this not patrolled? You know what I mean? Unless it was patrolled, and then the CIA came up and said, hey, you need, like they did down in Dallas, Texas, you don't need to be here. We've got this covered now, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, supposedly people were telling the Secret Service, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, how sad is that if you know, they had to be alerted?
They would have said,
how far away? Wasn't it only a couple hundred yards?
He was 147 yards away, and he would have succeeded if Donald Trump didn't turn his head. The only reason why Donald Trump is alive today is because he turned his head to look at a jumbotron, and that's when his ear got grazed. If he was facing the way he was supposed to be facing straight, that bullet would have got him straight in the head.
That would have been the end of it.
Yeah. And it's just more, they talk about January 6th, got a January 6th committee. Well, we need a July 16th committee, to look into what happened.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel so bad for that retired fire chief.
Oh my
and
God.
His family. I mean, that is just so sad. So sad.
I mean, what really saddened me, like I said, was the post on Facebook. And, we've so cheapened human life to the point where, like, somebody could determine or deem somebody else expendable. Really?
I know.
Have we sunk that low?
But the thing is, they're like that because of our politicians. When you get on TV and say, and everybody's not innocent, but I'll just use the Democrats. When you get on TV and say, we're deplorables, people who follow Donald Trump, communists, they're Hitlers, they're no good, they're the threat to, how is Donald Trump and us a threat to democracy? I don't understand that. But it's our leaders that set the tone. That's why we're at where we're at.
Right.
And, and President Obama set that tone when he was in office. I don't want to go there, but anyways, it's our leaders that set the tone, and that's why the people are at. Listen, I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. I don't hate you if you don't look at my views. I don't hate you. That's why we live in a free country.
Absolutely. Just respect the other person's point of view. You may disagree, but you can disagree with respect.
I just don't understand how far we've come since 9/11. I the country seemed so united back then for a little bit. Cops were heroes. Firefighters were heroes. Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of the country. And look where we've come now to the point we're at.
I tell everybody I'm old enough that I remember when things were at least semi-normal, but they're far from it now.
I'll say.
I think after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, I think the innocence in this country was gone. It's gone. After that, I mean, you can't trust the government anymore, and you just can't.
Yeah.
And I've told this to other people, when Kennedy, and I don't know when this ended, but when Kennedy was the president, at least it felt, I mean, I was 8 years old. What did I know? But, my perception was that he was our president. It didn't matter that he was a Democrat or a Republican, whatever affiliation he was. He was our leader, and we respected him. And somewhere along the line, that went away. And I'm not sure where it went away, but, now half the country, it's not their president.
It's called corruption.
That's absolutely true.
It's called corruption. Money and corruption. That's all that matters in this country to people. Or I should say powerful people. Money and corruption. Morals don't matter anymore. Values don't matter anymore. It just seems like the people that are rich want more, and they'll do whatever it takes to get more, kill whoever it takes to get more. It doesn't matter. They just want more money and more power.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
It's very sad. Well, guys, one thing about doing a true crime podcast, there's never a shortage of topics to choose from. So tonight we're going to cover. It was short, but it was pretty sensational. The manslaughter trial of A-lister Alec Baldwin. Baldwin was accused, award-winning actor, many great films to his credit. My favorite is Glenn Ross, Glenn Ross. I always get that wrong. Coffee is for closers. But he was accused of reckless use of a firearm on the set of the movie Rust in October of 2021. And the gun, which had live ammo, went off somehow, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injuring. My glasses are foggy here. Director Joel Souza, no relation to Silvano. And in a shocking turn of events, Judge Elke Sommer. You guys remember Elke Sommer?
I do. That beautiful blonde from the 70s?
I think actually like 60s. There was like a number of like really hot women. So you had her, Elke Sommer. You had Raquel Welch. You had, who else did you have? Charo. Remember Charo?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken, but didn't she go with Rod Stewart, Elke Sommer? And I could be wrong, but I thought she went with Rod Stewart.
And then you had Joey Heatherton. There was like a number. I'm
yeah.
Say smoking hot babes. No, but this is actually Mary Marlowe Sommer. She granted the defense's motion to dismiss the case with prejudice on Friday, which means it cannot be tried again. And it's citing that the prosecution held back material evidence, and the legal term is a Brady violation. I would have thought that would have applied to Tom taking too many liberties with Giselle. But right before the dismissal, prosecutor Erlinda Johnson, she resigned from the case. I guess she disagreed that they had that Brady hearing in public. But let's go around the horn. It's a pretty short horn tonight without Phil, but get your guys' reaction. What did you feel like when they dismissed the case?
Geez, I was shocked. That's not what I expected at all. Obviously, I don't think anybody expected that to happen, right? I mean, I thought this was going to go on and on and on. And I thought, after what we just saw with Karen Reed and so much corruption, now we know, not that we didn't before, but now it's like fresh in our minds how corruption can change things. And I just thought, well, is his status going to make this, is he going to get off the hook for it because of it? And then, I was even wondering, what is his culpability? And I didn't realize that he was like a producer, director. I thought he was just the actor. Right. That grabbed the gun. And when I was talking to Dave a week or so ago, he told me all that information. And, that changed my mind a little bit. But still, I was really shocked at what happened. And I'm not convinced that it wasn't planned.
How about you, Dave?
Well, I hope Phil is all okay tonight. I hope he's not hungover from the weekend. I just hope he's okay. At first I didn't really understand the trial. I didn't understand what Alec Baldwin did wrong. Right. But then when you start listening to the evidence and you follow the evidence, he is a culprit. He is in a line of succession to blame, because first of all, as a producer, it's his job to make sure. I know you have an armor person there. I get that. But as a producer, it's his job, number one, to make sure of the safety of everybody on the set, because it's like going to work. It's a work set. It's just like if you were going to work at your job. It's a job site. So as a producer, his first responsibility is to make sure everybody on that set is safe. As an actor, it was his job to get together with the armor, the person who's responsible for putting the bullets into the gun. It's his job to get together with her, Gutierrez, and to make sure and go over the bullets, go over what's going into the gun, have a conference with her, and then you go and do your scene, which I didn't know until I started investigating. So Jesus Christ was on two people's sides this weekend. He's on Donald Trump's and Alec Baldwin because, and that's why he was crying. He knows it. He got away with one, and unfortunately, we have a victim here. And on top of it, Gutierrez has already been convicted and sentenced 18 months. Now that could be overturned, and you know what? Nobody.
Oh.
Yeah, so that could be overturned also. So we're looking at another case where someone might not even be held accountable for her death.
Right. Well, I got to say something here. So I can't stand Alec Baldwin. He grew up about 10 minutes from me, a little bit younger than I am, but he played high school football for Burner in Massapequa. I grew up in Farmingdale. They were our arch rivals. So it does give me great pleasure to say that every year that I was in high school, we handed Burner their asses. Now, here's my opinion. If Alec Baldwin was going on trial for being a dickhead, an asshole, and an arrogant, egotistical schmuck, the entire trial, from opening arguments to conviction and sentencing, could have been wrapped up in 30 minutes.
Right.
But, as much as I have zero use for the guy now, I feel a little bit different. And maybe, Dave, I'm going to rely on you because, from my perspective, I didn't see this as a viable trial. But we'll get into that more. I thought for sure, even if it went the distance, the guy was going to skate. So I guess starting with you, Dave, tell me, go dive a little bit deeper. You said that now the judge, what was her name? I can't. Mary Marlowe said that they could not consider, and this was kind of surprising and a very big victory for the Baldwin defense team, was that they could not consider his role as a producer, which I didn't understand, but I thought, man, he got a gimme on that one, right?
Absolutely. So that was made in the pre-trial hearing that they could not reveal that to the jury that he was the producer of the movie. So that was a win for him and his team. Yeah. But that he got away with one. He got away with one, and his lawyer, compared to Alan Jackson, he's not in the same league. But
well, let's be honest. Few lawyers are in the same league as Alan Jackson. That guy really impressed the shit out of me. What a rock star that guy was.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen an attorney as prepared and as poised and as confident as that guy. Really impressed me. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, they and his attorneys, Alec Baldwin, they didn't really impress me, to be honest with you. They got lucky, and they got lucky because of the prosecution. Not into exculpatory, not revealing everything that they had, and that's where they got lucky.
Well, so maybe you could. I try to follow the trail here, but there's a guy named Troy Teskey, I guess, retired police officer, friend of the father of Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and somehow he went to this guy with Kenny, right? Seth Kenny, and got this other ammo that I guess would belong to the batch that was going to the set of Rust, and brought it to the police department, and the PD and the prosecutor filed it in a different case file other than the one that belonged to this particular case. And when the defense found out, that was the quote unquote Brady violation.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Right. That's how that came up. Exactly.
You think that was done on purpose?
That's a tough question. That's like asking you, was a live bullet put on the setting in that gun on purpose? You know what I mean? Or deliberately?
Well, that was actually my next question. Maybe we can combine them, because my next question is: do you think there was some type of conspiracy as far as how did those live rounds make it onto the set and into a gun, and two people check this gun and tell Baldwin, I guess they called it a cold gun, meaning that it had been checked twice. And, somehow it's got a live round in it. How does that happen?
How does it happen?
Well, I think
So
that
who
goes.
are the two people? The armorer, and then who else? There's another
guy in
person that
between. I
also
can't
that
think of
has
his
to
name.
check it.
Yeah, she's behind bars for 18
Yeah.
months, right? She was convicted. The other guy, I think, took a plea, and I think he's on some kind of probation. I don't think he's in jail.
David Halls was the guy.
Okay, right. He took a plea, right?
Yeah, he was the other guy that was responsible. But you know what? It goes back to what you said. That Alec Baldwin's a dickhead, a cocky guy, and an asshole, and maybe other people on that set thought the same thing, and they said, you know what? We're going to set him up. I know it sounds horrible because somebody got killed, but someone else said
that's a horrible thing to think. I mean, in today's society, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, we really, like we said before, we have minimized human life somewhere along the line. So, I mean, if that's true, God, what a tragedy that is. I mean, this poor innocent person lost their life.
Well, like you said earlier, collateral damage, right? When it comes to collateral damage, people don't care.
Right.
Like at the Trump rally, that poor guy that got killed, collateral damage. That's what the shooter.
So, I mean, where do you think? So, the bullets went from someplace, I think, was it Texas or Arizona? I think Arizona, I believe the bullets were sent to New Mexico. Went through, I guess, by Gutierrez and this other guy, and all, I guess my thing is it's, and I'm not a gun person, but now these people are gun people. The armorer.
Yeah.
I mean, should she have known when she went through the ammo that was the live round that distinguishable? I guess is my question.
Well, I guess not, right?
Because
you're talking her, the other guy, right? And then did or did not Alec Baldwin have that meeting with the armorer? Did they have that meeting, and did they go over everything they were supposed to? My guess is no, right? Right.
No,
that's what I thought.
That's why they brought Alec Baldwin up on charges, because he admitted, and the armorer admitted, no, they didn't follow proper procedure and protocol. They didn't go over anything. Alec Baldwin never went over to her to check anything, to check the gun.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why they pressed charges against him.
Okay. And then they left out the fact that he was the producer to the jury.
Right.
To me, for him, like you said, it was a win-win. It sounds to me like two different things were win-win.
I really, Dave, you're really starting to convince me that maybe it was a frame up, and he got damn lucky with that Brady violation so that the judge had to throw it out. But the other thing I was going to bring up wasn't that gun destroyed before the defense could even see it?
I think so.
I think they did tests on it. The police, didn't they do tests on it? And then they started slamming.
But then they destroyed it, and the defense never had a chance to get their own experts in to test the gun. And that was another one of the points of contention.
Right.
Right.
And the thing is, the gun was locked up because everybody went to lunch. So if you remember, everybody went to lunch, and supposedly the gun was locked in a safe while everybody was at lunch. But something happened from the time they went to lunch to the time they came back and started shooting that scene. Something happened somewhere. There was a breakdown. Somebody put a live round in that gun.
Well, and then one of the I watched the recap shows, not like Karen Reed. There was a lot of those recap shows. Only a couple with this trial, but somebody said that during a rehearsal that Baldwin was not supposed to put his hand on the trigger, and he would do that routinely, and wave the gun in front of people. And I know that supposedly pissed people off. You're not supposed to do that under any circumstances. So coupling the fact that the guy's an arrogant jackass, and then the fact that he's waving this gun around at people, probably on purpose, I would have to say, because he's just being Alec Baldwin. I mean, it didn't endear him to anybody on the set.
I know.
Well, they walked out each time. The people on the set walked out numerous times because of safety issues. And so they walked out like 3 or 4 times in the course of filming this movie because there wasn't enough safety protocols on the set, on the job. So there was a lot wrong with this set. There was a work site, because that's what it is. It's a work site. There was a lot wrong with this. A lot of protocol wasn't followed. And in my opinion, I think just my opinion, I think someone tried to set up Alec Baldwin. And in the process, someone got killed, unfortunately. But I think it goes back to your opening statements, Benny, when you said, he's a dickhead, everything you called him. And I think a lot of other people maybe on that set thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Didn't he walk out of the courtroom once too?
He did. He got up and walked out. He didn't like what the prosecution was saying, so he got up and walked out. He did.
Isn't that contempt of court though, or?
You would think.
When you got money and you're an actor.
Yeah.
Like Cyndi Lauper said, money changes everything. Yeah. Remember that?
Money talks, and you know what walks.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you think that Hannah Gutierrez Reed was kind of a pawn in the whole thing? And the other guy's name was Dave Halls, right?
David Halls, right?
Were they pawns, or were they part of the conspiracy?
I think so.
I think they were. Well, first of all, I want to say this: the armorer was hired because her father was an armorer on Hollywood. Yes. So she was hired as a favor, and because she was cheap, because she was trying to get experience. So that's why she was on the set. And I think in her own admission, she didn't check the gun when she came back from lunch. I think that they were just not innocent, but unaware of the goings on that I think that someone might have had something against Alec Baldwin. That's just my opinion.
You know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know who had access to the safe while everybody was at lunch.
Right. That's the key question. Yeah.
Because, so say it's 2 people, 3 people. Really, it should probably only be 1 person, I would think, that would have access to a safe with a gun in it. And there's your person. If you're looking for someone that set him up, then there's your person. So how come, or maybe that's going to happen down the road. Like you said, Benny, maybe something's going to happen down the road further on this. I don't know. He
can't be tried, but not to say that other people can't be.
Right. Exactly. I'm really wondering if they're going to do some more digging.
Yeah.
Because now this kind of opened up a little bit of a can of worms. Very, very similar to, on a lesser degree, but very similar to the can of worms that was opened up in Massachusetts with Karen Reed's case.
Right.
Talk about a can of worms.
There's lots of cans of worms on that one, man.
That's
like a case of worms.
Yeah, I'm still trying to come down from that. I don't think I fully have come.
I'll be honest. I'm still suffering from withdrawal.
No.
What a hell of a case that was. Holy crap.
They'll be back next January. I think July 20.
Yeah, we have not seen the end of that case by any means.
No, July 20. They go to court for another.
They're just giving us a little break, but the biggest contention, it seemed like the prosecution, and I don't think that prosecuting attorney, what was her name, Carrie Morrissey, she hated Baldwin, and that was very obvious. And but she did have a good point where she said that there are safety protocols, and one of them is when you are rehearsing, that you don't put your hand on the trigger, even if it's a prop gun. And with supposedly a dummy bullet or a blank, but he did it anyway. Now he said he didn't, the trigger just went off. I find that hard to believe. But what was his Alex Spiro, right? I call him Spiros Arion.
Yeah.
Spiros Arion said that well, he's an actor. That's what he does. He acts. You give him. I likened it to what if what's his name, the Honky Tonk Man. They had an angle where he was going to whack what's his name, Jake Roberts, over the head with a guitar.
Oh yeah.
Honky Tonk was given assurance that everybody's been through this guitar and it's gimmicked. And he hits Jake over the head, and guess what? It wasn't gimmicked. Is
Right.
Honky Tonk responsible, or is the guy who gimmicked the guitar responsible?
See, I say it's the guy who gimmicked the guitar.
Right.
And that's why a couple of weeks ago, before I knew everything that I knew, I couldn't believe that Alec Baldwin was being brought up on charges, because at that time I thought he was only the actor. And then, of course, once like I said earlier, once I had all the information, the correct information, then that changed my mind a little bit. But then for them to say the jury can't know that he was the producer, because like you said earlier, Dave, the producer is culpable for that work site, because that is what it is.
Right. Right.
So the fact that they held that out on the jury, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter now because of what happened. But if that didn't happen, I think that would have made the whole trial very different, or shall I say the outcome very different.
I totally agree with you, Brittany. If they were allowed to consider him, which he was the producer, I think you have and had that, that violation, the Brady violation, not happened, I think he had a very good chance of getting convicted at that point. Once they said, you just look at him as an actor, then I thought, well, that kind of really, that kind of screws it up as far as him getting getting convicted.
I couldn't just looking at him, just looking at him sitting there with his smug face every day in the jury, Alec Baldwin sitting in there. I mean, in the sitting there with his lawyer, just that look on his face. I could, I'm looking at him and I'm just thinking, this is a guy that called his daughter a pig
a rude, thoughtless little pig. I'll never forget that phone call.
Right. I mean,
an 11-year-old girl.
I could never talk to my daughters like that. I mean,
years I could never talk to my kids like that.
I mean, I might call them stupid, idiots, morons. No. I'm just kidding. Kid and daughter.
My mom would say, "What are you, an asshole?" But that's when I was 25. Not when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it was you, Dave, that I said this to, but my father was my best friend. My father and I did everything together. He went to 28 years I wrestled. He was at every show, never missed one.
That's amazing, Brittany. That really
talked to me like that.
That is so cool. I mean, you have no idea. That is like the coolest thing.
I know. It totally is. Because I mean, he was working the whole time that I did that. He was not retired yet,
So he's putting in a full day's work, and then he's getting in his car to go see wherever you were working, right?
Yeah, he went with me. Yeah, he went with me. So
wow.
I was taking half days on Fridays at work to get to the shows, and so was he. So, we'd meet and then we'd go, off we go, right? So, but I have to say, and now that he's gone, I don't know if I feel the same way, but I don't think I could ever have had the same relationship I had with my father if he ever talked to me like that. I don't.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
how do you come back from that?
No, especially at that age, you're very impressionable as an 11-year-old. Well, I mean, I was never an 11-year-old girl, but I gotta believe, even as a young boy, preteen, that would have crushed me if my parents talked to me like that.
Well, my father never talked to me like that because he left when I was born and never came back. So I wasn't able to be called names, so but I couldn't talk to my daughters like that. I couldn't do it.
Oh, why would you though? So
Yeah.
the funny thing is, well, first of all, when the judge dismissed the case and he started crying, my I hate to say it, maybe this makes me a bad person, but my first thought was, you phony bastard. It just looked so staged, at least to me.
I know.
Yeah.
It did to me too. And God forgive me, but his wife, her two arms going around him and just the way she tilted her head, everything looked staged about both of them.
Well, I understand that they're going to have a reality show coming up, the Baldwins. I didn't realize
well,
this,
they have,
but
what, 7 kids, 8 kids?
they have 7
Went to the
children.
longest-
He's 66 years old. I think the oldest one is like 12 or 13. I mean, they range like from 2 to 12. All right, so so he had the first. I could see, like, all right, you married a new woman, and this is just me. This is, opinions are like assholes. We all have them. But 54 years old, you marry a younger woman. I guess at the time she maybe was, I don't know, 20, late 20s. All right, she wants to have a kid. I get it. All right.
Yeah.
But you have 7, so now you're 66, and you have a 2 or 3 year old at 66. I don't think, again, my opinion, we weren't meant to have young children in our 60s because we're tired, and most of us have done our duty. Dave, I mean, I don't know how my oldest is 41. I'm 69. My youngest is 30. In my 50s, I'm done. I did my job.
Well, she's milking the cow pretty good, I guess. I mean,
that's a lot. I mean,
he's got some great sperm reproduction, I guess. So, God bless him. God bless him.
I don't know. I think there's. So you're 66. Say you have a 3-year-old. So you're going to be 81 when that kid graduates from high school, if you're still around. I mean,
Isn't that awful?
is that really something you want to do to a kid? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't put it that way.
Well, I'm 62, and hey, I can't take nothing off the table. If I meet a girl that makes my toes curl up, anything's on the table. So
let's be real here. I'm the player, so I mean that stuff happens to me all day. But still, I mean, I want to be able to do my thing, and if that were to happen, that's going to put a serious crimp in my lifestyle.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah.
What I have to wonder is the older kids in you guys' case. Okay, you guys have more than one each, right? So how would your sons and daughters, Benny, and your daughters, Dave, react to a 62-year-old guy or a 69-year-old guy going, "Hey, met someone, we're getting married, and she's pregnant"? Like, what would they say? I know Alec only had one, and I know I don't know how old she was when he met Hilaria or whatever her name is. Isn't she from Massachusetts, and she lied and said she was like Cuban or something? I heard something about that.
Well,
yeah, because they go they go to Maine a lot. They go up to Maine on vacation a lot. But I think if I got a girl pregnant, I think my daughters would just say, as long as they're in the will, they don't really care,
I have a little bit of a different take because about 10 years ago, I dated somebody who was 24 years younger than I was, and she didn't have a child. She wanted another child, and my sister texted me, and she calls me Ben. Well, she's the only person on earth that calls me Ben. Says, "Ben, if you get her pregnant, I'm going to come to Florida and I'm going to cut your balls off." So that was enough. I mean, I like mine where they are, so that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, what will be, will be,
Right. I just don't get like having 7.
No, that's crazy. I can understand one.
Yeah, young woman wants to have a child. Of course, you're going to give her a child. But then don't do that 6 more times. Keep it.
Yeah,
keep
I'm
it
just
simple.
shocked. And I would bet that they're not done yet.
No,
I
Well,
would not be surprised if she's pregnant again.
well, he's also facing. They're also facing civil suits now. I mean, just because he got off in criminal court, now they're facing now there's civil suits to be. He's gonna pay one way or the other, but now they've got some civil suits coming up.
Oh.
well,
Yeah.
I would think if that is the case, that they will be able to use his role as the producer. And I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if, like you said, he's coughing up some dough.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
he's worth
Yeah.
$5 million. I mean, $5 million.
How much is he? How much?
He's worth, according to Celebrity Net Worth, $75 million is his net worth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there'll be civil suits against the director and other people on the set.
So we
Yeah.
talked about this earlier. I just want to bring it up again. I'm calling. I have Spiros Arion in my notes. Alex Spiro, his lawyer.
Great worker, Spiros Arion. Great work. Great wrestler.
The Golden Greek. I tell you what. So I remember I started watching in 1968. He was the Golden Greek. He was probably like the number 2 babyface in the WWF, right behind Bruno. Right? Him, Dominic DeNucci, Victor Rivera. All of a sudden, he comes back in 75, and he turns heel. And I thought, man, there is no way that Spiros Arion could ever be a good heel. Man, was I wrong. That guy was one of the best heels ever.
Well, that's when I first started watching it. Probably around '69 when the Mongols came in, and I saw Bruno and Crusher Verdun. That's when '69 is when I first started watching it, and
Wow.
Strongbow first came in. But they were the Mongols, if you remember the Mongols, and
Guido, yep, absolutely.
yep, that was Nikolai Volkov was one of them, and then the other guy. Yeah, and the other guy was a friend of Bruno out of Pittsburgh. I forget his real name. What was his name?
Newton Tatry.
Yeah.
And,
yep, that's when I started watching it. But Spiros Arion, I used to see once he stuffed the feathers in Chief Jay Strongbow's mouth. That was beautiful.
Everybody turned on the poor Chief. Jimmy Valiant turned on the Chief.
He did.
So did Maivia. Didn't he turn on Strongbow also?
He did. Yep.
I think he did. Yeah.
And who's the one that smashed him over the head with the trophy and split his head open? Was that
I don't know. What hit Strongbow?
This is before my time.
Yeah. Well, come on, Brittany. Don't be pretending with that long blonde hair of yours. You're a lot younger than us. You'd have 7 kids if you.
Before I started watching wrestling, you guys started way younger than me.
Yeah, 68 here.
69.
Yeah, probably like 73, 74 for me.
Okay.
Used to go to.
That's when Bruno came back and won the title from Stasiak. Great era.
Yeah. I mean, it was nothing like going to the old garden, Boston Garden, and seeing wrestling there back in the old days when people used to throw rocks and darts and all stuff in the ring. And there was a great time there. Great time. Saw Spiros Arion there many times.
But I mean, I was amazed at what a great heel. Now, on the contrary, Victor Rivera, who was a huge baby face in the late '60s, he came back as a heel, and he was horrible.
Yeah, I feel like him.
He had nuclear heat. He just had that arrogant look. And who did he have? Blassie as his manager?
It was Blassie. Yep, it was Blassie.
Wow.
They could incite a crowd big time. I mean, that wasn't. I still say, like, of all the things that I admire of any of you professional wrestlers, I'm going to say you guys. The ability to get a crowd worked up is an unbelievable talent that is like very underappreciated unless you have to do it. Like it just, so bravo to you guys for being able to do that. And yeah, Arion got these people worked up to the point where, they had to have the police, in front of him to protect him.
Let's not forget, we talk about Spiros Arion, but how about getting the heat? Killer Kowalski against Bruno. What a feud that was. Talk about heat.
Wasn't the 1969 at the Boston Garden, that iconic picture of Bruno hitting Kowalski over the head with the chair?
I
Was
think
that
that
Fenway Park, wasn't it?
was Fenway Park in Boston.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
What
I mean, Walter used to tell us, and Brittany, she knows, Walter used to tell us all kinds of stories on being attacked. Yeah. His feud with Bruno being attacked. The people would wait for him outside. He'd have to stay hours and hours after a show just so he could get to his car and leave the arena, because people would be waiting at his car out in the parking lot before he could leave.
You know, it was so funny reading Bruno's book. I first read it probably about 15 years ago. And the way he talked about Killer Kowalski, all I remember is this. I mean, I was legitimately scared shitless as a kid of Killer Kowalski. He was a big guy, and he never stopped moving. He had that claw hold. You know, I knew that he had torn somebody's ear off. And the way Bruno spoke about him, the respect that Bruno, gave him, and the fact that he said you could not take 1 second off when you wrestled Kowalski, because the guy just kept going and going and going. So, yeah, I mean, that's a man that, like, I think one of the greatest heels of all time.
Yeah. He used to beat the shit out of me 3 times a week up in Boston. I joined it.
It's a badge of honor, though, right?
Absolutely. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Went home sore, took a lot of hot baths, a lot of heating pads, but, Brittany,
Yeah, and like I told everybody that's ever interviewed me too, many people have asked, many people haven't. But did he treat the girls any different than the guys? Absolutely not.
No.
Not a bit.
And I mean, in the history of wrestling, I think I've only heard one person talk badly about him, and I totally discount that. It was China.
Yeah.
I mean, given the body of work that I've heard about this man, there's no way I can believe what she said.
Oh, yeah.
And
well,
I'm going to tell you something.
Look at where it's coming from.
I'm going to tell you something he taught me, too. One thing he taught me, other than wrestling, was, and I try to tell people this, and my kids and friends, he always taught me, he said, you've got nothing. And, back then I was pretty buffed. I had my long black hair, and I was young. And he always said, you know what? You don't need to fight anybody. Just walk away. The only time you ever need to fight anybody, he said, is if you're in a corner and you can't get out. Then you got to fight them. But any other time, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't need to prove anything to yourself. Just walk away. And that's what I try to teach my family and people that I know. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good advice. But getting back to Spiros Arion, I we talked about it before. Excuse me. I don't think the guy is in the same league as Alan Jackson. I think Baldwin is very lucky that technicality came up.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally different outcome there would have been.
Now if Jackson defended Baldwin, it would have been a no contest. I think he would have,
Yep.
And,
off the hook.
Not to go backwards here, but can anybody answer this question? Where is Karen Reed? Where is she? No one's seen her. She hasn't been filmed anywhere, photographed anywhere. Where is she?
That's
what
probably
happened?
A good thing. That's probably a good thing. If I was her, I would be missing in action as well.
I mean, since the verdict, there hasn't been a picture, and people are going to follow. The photographers and the paparazzi are going to try to get pictures and try to sell the pictures. Where is she? What happened to her?
Right.
She underground.
Well, my question too is, I mean, that defense had to cost her a small fortune, and I mean, if they retry and she uses him again, I mean, the guy's not cheap, and she's not. As far as I know, she's not working. Where is she getting all this money from?
You got a Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy, I believe the Turtle Boy set up a GoFundMe page early on, and they've raised.
Oh, really? How much did they raise for her?
I heard millions of dollars.
Oh my, really? Now, I guess that doesn't really surprise me because, I mean, the support for this woman is unbelievable.
That's heard, millions of dollars, but the Turtle Boy raised a GoFundMe page early on in the beginning. Not saying that she's not paying any money either, but,
right.
Yeah, they got a GoFundMe page for her.
Yeah. And thank God they do, because, I mean, like you said, this guy wasn't cheap. Him and his team. No. And what's going to happen if he has to come back? I mean, he's not going to do it.
If I'm her, I don't want anybody else defending me. I want him back. I don't care what it costs.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Turtle Boy to the rescue.
I wonder if she wants babies. I wonder how many babies she wants to have.
Maybe you can find out. How old is she, Dave?
44.
44?
Yeah.
Okay, that's still a possibility, right? And has no children?
Possibility.
She has no children, no.
Okay.
And my children are all grown up, so let's give it a go, I guess.
I'm gonna give you that one. I'm backing out. That one's all yours.
I'll probably end up getting hit.
Well, I tell you what, on behalf of the show, Dave, though, if that happens, you impregnate Miss Reed, we will start a GoFundMe on your behalf.
If I would probably end up having my baby in the 9th month, I'll get hit by a car, get run over.
Okay, so to me, the worst song of all time, and everybody's got their opinions. Mine was "You're Having My Baby" by Paul Anka.
That was pretty bad.
That was horrible. And I like Paul Anka. I mean, I love Paul Anka, but I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, that's not a Rod Stewart song. Is not, Rod Stewart's is my man crush. So.
Rod Stewart is like phenomenal, awesome, epic. He's on the Mount Rushmore of great rock stars.
Yeah, my daughter's got me tickets to go. We're all going September 7th to Mohegan Sun to see him for my birthday.
That's great. That really is. And I'm amazed that these guys, like Rolling Stones, they're 80. The Frankie Valli's 90. These guys they still go on. I think McCartney still performs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's early 80s.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Maggie. Oh, yeah. I'm starting to get into Rod Stewart now,
Well, I don't think any of these guys need money. I think it's just they love to perform in front of people.
Exactly. They it's like a drug to them now. Like they have to perform. They love doing what they're doing, but it's a drug. They need the adulation from the crowds. They need it. It's in their blood. You know what I mean?
Right. And we certainly understand that, because I'll tell you, after 28 years of doing it every single weekend, when I stopped, I did not know what to do with myself. Oh God, a fly just came in.
Okay. So
I did not.
I'm going to ask you guys.
I have no idea what to do with myself.
You guys are wrestlers, and I want your honest opinion, whether you like the guy or not. And I'm gonna check to see if the chat room has any comments. And I like the guy. I've met the guy a couple of times. But I heard that Dory Funk, who is 83 years old, is going to go to Japan and wrestle somebody. So I just
hey, God bless him. God bless him if it's true.
But I mean, at what point? I mean, do you not compromise? I mean, money. But what could he even do in the ring? I mean, at 83, that's going to look believable, or at least remotely close.
And where is he? In Japan?
Yes.
Oh, he's idolized over there. Idolized in Japan. The Funks are idolized.
And rightly so. I mean, I think when I went there, the last time I saw him was 5 years ago at his wrestling school in Ocala. And I think his wife, Marty, said that it was his 81st trip. And that was 5 years ago to Japan. So, I mean, he is like he's a demigod in Japan. But, man, oh, man, 83 years old. How do you make that look remotely believable?
Hey,
I get it. As far as the money, I'm sure he's getting a lot of money.
I'm a tad overweight. They want to pay me $50 to go down to Walmart in a ring and wrestle. I'll do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys should be making comebacks based. You guys are way younger.
Yeah, as long as I get.
No thanks.
As long as I get an ambulance.
You know, Brittany, like I always go to, I remember, being a huge baseball fan back in the day, old timers game at Yankee Stadium. And, I'm going back to like the late 60s. And I remember Joe DiMaggio hit a ground rule double. But like I could have went out to McDonald's, got a hamburger. And when I got back, he still would have been like, heading at the second base. I mean, there's a point. I mean, who's a better ball player than Joe DiMaggio? But there comes a point. I think he was in his mid 50s at that time. Mm-hmm. Imagine him at 83 trying to hit a fastball off of I don't know, name any pitcher these days. Paul Skeens, the new guy with Pirates. I mean, he's going to look foolish. I just don't. I mean, at what point do you stop? Do you not want to look foolish?
I know. I totally agree.
Hey, you know what? 81. He's a legend in Japan. The place will be sold out. What? The place
will be. That's the funny part. And what? Probably whatever he does, they they'll probably cheer him no matter what. I mean, there's that nostalgia factor.
It's like all these fighters that are doing the boxing now. Right. All the Mike Tyson and all the other ones, the old ones that are getting in the ring for 3 rounds, and people pay big money on pay-per-view to watch it. All
right. So last question: If this case went the distance, Baldwin guilty or not guilty?
That's a tough one because he's got money. He's a celebrity. If I was on the jury, and after all the evidence I heard, he's guilty.
All right.
He pulled that trigger. He pulled the trigger. He lied to police. He'd say he didn't, but he pulled the trigger.
What do you say, Brittany?
Well, if they left out the fact, if I was on the jury and they left out the fact that he was the producer, I would have said not guilty.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I do believe if they allowed him in as the producer, then he does have an increased amount of responsibility.
Yeah,
because of the fact that he's running the show. The buck stops here. But yeah, given the fact that his lawyer. I mean, the one thing he did do, Alex Spiro, was that this guy's an actor. He was given a gun. He was told that the gun was cold, which I guess means that it was, checked and double checked. And, but on the flip side, I mean, I think the one thing that makes he's his own worst enemy because he's an arrogant jackass. And exactly. had he followed instructions and like everybody, the protocol is in a rehearsal, you do not put your hand on the trigger. So, I mean, he had to go that extra step because he's Alec Baldwin and, he's a dick. And, I mean, I would have shed no tears if he was convicted. None.
Same.
I will say that, going back to when you opened up the show, I will say the one movie I did like him in was The Hunt for Red October. That was a pretty good movie.
He's, phenomenal actor. Very, very good actor.
He was with Sean Connery in that one, The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, like I said, that Glengarry when he's the guy from corporate. I mean, and he plays himself. I mean, there's probably he didn't have to get in the mood for anything because he played an arrogant jackass. It's like, he was taking their money. Like, you just want me to be me? Okay, no problem.
Benny, how do you really feel about him? Tell the viewers and us, how do you really feel about him?
I have to say that my opinion was 100% jaded by that one phone message that he left to that girl as his child. If he didn't do that, I probably still wouldn't care for him, but it wouldn't be as strong as it is. That did it for me. Like, to talk to your own child, this young child, it's not like, if she was like 38 and was, acting stupid, even then, no. But like 11,
I know
that's her daddy. Like, she had to look up to him, and for him to talk to her that way, no, I had no use for the guy ever after that.
Did you
Yeah.
watch him on Comedy Central roast when she was on there, the daughter, and roasted him? Wow.
No.
Wow.
That
What
was
was that
awesome.
now? Wait,
Comedy Central roast, you know those roasts they have on Comedy Central? They had
They
one for
roasted-
Alec Baldwin.
they roasted Baldwin, and that girl roasted him.
Oh, his daughter was on there, roasted him good. You saw that, Brittany,
Oh.
right? Yeah, she
I
roasted.
sure did.
All right, now was it a shoot or a work?
It was a shoot.
It
Oh,
was
that
a
was
total shoot.
yeah. And you could
Total shoot.
see
I
his,
was shocked.
you could see his
Got her,
face. He was
got her
pissed.
receipt.
He was sitting there pissed, Alec Baldwin. You could, oh, he was,
He was.
Oh, he had to be fuming, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Watch it on YouTube. Comedy Central roast, Alec Baldwin.
And before I forget, I have to shout out to the First Lady of Wrestling, Maria Davis, who has been a member of the Monty and the Pharaoh channel for 16 months, one of our most loyal followers. Very, very nice lady, is always here to give us a kind word. So, Maria, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you do for us. I had to get that in there.
I had two.
Thank you, Maria.
I had two kids with a girl named Maria. Hi, Maria.
What was that? West Side Story, right? I just met a girl named Maria.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I guess, I mean, the guy's free now. He can go have more kids and do his reality show. And, he's one of those guys that I always wanted, like, somebody like a paparazzi to take a picture of him. And like the one time that he would mess with the wrong guy and he got the ever loving shit beat out of him. It's not. I'm still praying for that.
It's safe to say that if you saw him get hit by a car, you wouldn't give him CPR. You just keep walking down the road.
Like Dr. Evil said, there'd be a brief 5-minute period where I'd be inconsolable. I mean, that's about how long I'd give a shit. I just don't like. I just think he's a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated him before he did what he did to his kid because of the way he treated his first wife. And I knew all about that. And I thought he was a piece of you know what. But whenever I heard that voicemail, that was it. I was like, you know what? If the guy dies tomorrow, I don't care.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this time he got off, but not to say that it's the end of his. Somebody like that, eventually you're going to meet your match, or karma's going to come back to collect. So,
and if I can throw this out there, if I'm not overstepping my bounds to everybody out there in podcast land, because I know we're nearing the end of the show. Next week, maybe you want to tell them, Benny, what the show is on, because we were talking about some.
No, I'm getting actually.
Great idea.
We were talking wrestling,
This one was kind of a quickie, although we made a good show of it. Happy ending, maybe for Baldwin. And next week we actually are going to cover, and this is going to be a lot of controversy. I think a lot of heated discussion. The case of Chris Benoit. So thank you to the chat group out there. Great dialogue as always. And again, thanks to everyone in attendance live, as well as the millions
and millions
of true crime followers around the world. So for the Boston Bad Girl and Dangerous Dave, this is the player telling everyone to stay safe and see you next crime. Bye-bye. And we're out. I think we're going to have to turn ourselves off. I don't know if Mike, give it a second here. Yeah, we got to just sign out. Well, you have a good night, Brittany.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tonight, I have to go to this. 134 or what? I just want to get it.